Okay, so if you don't want to be recorded, sorry. All right,
Hi.
so.
Hi.
Okay, so my name is Karen Cox. I am the extension agent up in the Northern Panhandle in Ohio County. And we also have a program specialist from the Food and Farm Coalition, Stephanie Randall here, who will be speaking later today about accepting SNAP benefits and SNAP stretch. So my focus is this morning, or I guess this afternoon, trying to make that transition here. My focus is going to be on the Farmers Market Nutrition Program. And so that includes the senior coupons and WIC. So no, not all counties except WIC, but I'm going to include it in here because this is statewide. All right. I'm gonna get back to the right screen here. Okay, so here's my topic here. And if you have any questions, I welcome them. We'll try to address them as I go because sometimes things get mixed up in the regulations. And I do want to make sure you fully understand how to properly accept these coupons because I don't want you to miss out on this funding opportunity. All right, so what I'm going to talk about for the Farmers Market Nutrition Program is what it is, what are your requirements and eligibilities, what training is required, your application process, conditions and monitoring, eligible and ineligible foods, that's a big one, as well as rules and procedures, sanctions and disqualifications, drug-free workplace policy, and of course, the civil rights training. So the Farmers Market Nutrition Program was established in 1992 and is funded by a combination of USDA and state funding. And its main goal is to provide fresh, unprocessed fruits, vegetables, herbs, and honey to people who may be nutritionally at risk. And the main goal for our state is to make sure that we are improving the opportunities for our local farms. And so all of the food sold through this program must be grown in West Virginia or within 50 miles of the border. So approved vendors can accept both WIC Farmers Market Nutrition Program coupons and senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program coupons, okay? So again, our goal is to reduce our nutritional risk and to support our local farms. A couple of things you need to realize is that you cannot charge tax, but we don't charge tax on our farmers market products anyway. And you can't give change. That's the tricky one. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. So just to give you a little bit of the difference between the two, the WIC portion of the program is administered by the DHHR. However, it's coordinated by the Department of Agriculture. And so your contact would be Leslie Bogus. The benefits will be issued through an EBT card. So if you don't accept EBT, it's going to be more difficult for you to accept the WIC benefits. This year, this is going to be really big because they have upped the value from $11 per adult and $9 per child to $35 per person. So if you have 4 kids and a grown-up, you know, that adds up pretty quick. So definitely stay tuned for Stephanie's presentation later to talk about how you can accept those EBT cards. Their dates are from July 1st to October 31st for the Farmers Market Nutrition Program portion of the WIC. And again, their target is that low income, pregnant, breastfeeding moms and infants and children up to 5 years of age. However, with WIC, you cannot accept honey, okay? So that's important. And that's mostly because you can't give honey to babies. So Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program, this is where you can sell your honey. And it is fully administered through the West Virginia Department of Agriculture. And its dates are July 1st to October 31st. Hopefully. So right now there is an issue with the bank and they're trying to make sure that everything is cleared up. So where we've been trying to move it back so that they can accept them in June, it's definitely not going to happen this year. We're looking more towards July 1st to accept the first coupons. Targets low income senior citizens. The seniors will receive 6 $5 coupons. So that's how much they will have to spend for the year. All right, so farmer eligibility requirements. You must grow your own produce. You have to grow at least 25% of the produce that you sell. And any other produce that you sell through this program has to be locally produced. You have to list who and where you purchase any additional produce from on your application. Okay, so if you are a wholesale distributor, or if you are purchasing produce from out of the state, you cannot sell your produce. You can still sell your produce, but that produce cannot be sold through this program. Local farmer cooperatives and markets can have their own individual stamp, but they have to be approved every year, and they have to have an agreement with every single seller at that market. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, but the most important thing is any consignment seller has to give the farmer full price. Farmers markets can have one stamp, like I just said, but each vendor does have their own vendor number. And we'll talk about how you use that vendor number versus your stamp later on. But anyone except coupons.
I'm really sorry to interrupt, but we only have about 10 people that have given their name, and we do have over 30 participants on. So again, if you've not already typed your name and your county in the chat box, we need you to do that in order for us to give you credit. Not everybody has their name on their computer. So please make sure you type in your name and your county in your chat, in the chat box. Sorry.
All right. So anyone accepting coupons must be trained. Okay, that is key. So if you are attending as a representative of your farm, and say all of your employees who are going to be working at the farm stand aren't here, you have to make sure that they know all of the proper steps in order to accept any coupons, because if they do it wrong, they could cost you the value of that coupon, or they could cost you the full stamp, and not be allowed, make it so that you can't accept coupons all through the summer. All right, so you don't want to lose that. You want to make sure that you're accepting all of your coupons properly. And I know I talk really fast. I get super excited and wound up whenever I'm doing a presentation. So if you need me to slow down, please, please, please tell me to slow down, okay? All right, so if you're wondering if your farm stand or your market is eligible to accept these coupons, the main thing you need to remember is it can't be random. You can't just show up on the side of the road or in a parking lot and be able to accept these coupons. It has to be a place where people can find you, where they know they can go to spend that coupon. And they would prefer that you have it on a table, not selling out of the back of your trunk. So you need to have a regular schedule and a location. You need to have, you can sell at a farmer's market, you can sell at a roadside stand as long as it's a regular schedule and location. You can sell through a cooperative, and you can sell through a CSA program, but not for the WIC portion. So the seniors coupons can be used to pay for a CSA share or a portion thereof, but WIC cannot. And mobile markets are also acceptable as long as there is a regular schedule and location. Okay, due dates. Annual application is required. If you do not send in your annual application, you will not be able to accept coupons. So that lovely long form that seems over, like, you know, it's government paperwork. What do you want? So you have to make sure you do that application every year. And if it's not complete, they're going to send it back to you, and you'll have to complete it, and then you send it back to them. But it has to be in Charleston and accepted by July 31st if you want to accept coupons in this year. So you want to make sure that you really get on that application process. In case there is a problem, you have a little bit of wiggle room to get it returned. And you have to fill out this county or this application for every single county in which you sell. So here's my recommendation on that one. If you sell at multiple counties, fill everything out except for the county for the market, and make some photocopies, and then just add the county in later. That way you don't have to spend, you know, I write every single crop you grow 15 times if you sell at 15 counties. So that's just my time-saving recommendation. Maybe you could check with your local extension office if they can make that copy for you. So you can't receive or accept any coupons until your application is approved. So even if you have been doing this for years and you have your stamp number, if your application you haven't gotten that letter back saying that you're approved with the right stamp number on it, then you cannot accept coupons. You got to wait for that letter and that lovely little Justice for All poster and the list of foods poster. You do have to get training every 3 years for this program. And the training deadline is July 1st. So you have to get this training done by July 1st. So if anyone is here, knows someone who is planning on doing the online training version of this, make sure that they know they have to have it complete by July 1st. Okay, stamp numbers, they can expire. And if you do not submit your application, then your stamp's gonna expire. So those are renewed annually with the bank. The bank only has the approved numbers. So if your application doesn't get in time for them to send a list to the bank, then your then your stamp's no longer good. And if you send in all of your stamped coupons, like everything's normal, you send them to the bank's going to send them right back to you. And you may get charged a fee for having a coupon that wasn't valid. If you get a new stamp, like say you lost your stamp and you're applying for a new one and then you find your stamp, throw that old stamp away. Just do not use your old stamp. Make sure you're only using the new stamp. And make sure that your stamp number matches your approval letter, and then make sure that stamp number is written on your poster. If you have incorrectly stamped coupons, you will be out that value and you'll have to pay any bank fees associated with that. And if it's not paid for or not covered and reimbursed by the Farmers Market Nutrition Program, you agree not to seek those funds from the participant. You can't go after Grandma Jane and say, hey, you know, the coupon you gave me, I didn't stamp it right. Can you just give me $2? And it doesn't work like that. Actually, it'd be $5 this year. Okay, so conditions for sale. First thing you need to do is make sure all of your prices are very clearly marked. You can't charge a different price for the Farmers Market Nutrition Program people as you would for anyone else. You know, that's just a good business practice. You have to submit to random monitoring. The Department of Agriculture will come around to your market and investigate. And there is also a complaint-based monitoring. If the state receives a complaint against you or your farm stand, there can be a monitor that will come by to check it out and make sure you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing. You have to display that lovely poster prominently, and that means that it has to be able to be seen and read by your customers. So if you have a gigantic farm stand and you're like way back here from your table, they can't read a poster that's back here. It needs to be where they can read it. So make sure that it's clear and they can see that lovely stamp number on the Foods Allowable poster. So as soon as you get that poster in the mail, take a Sharpie, write your stamp number on it. Don't forget, because if you put that poster up and it doesn't have a stamp number on it, you can get discount or a negative mark for that, okay? And if you do have enough problems with how you're accepting coupons, you can get a termination, but you will get a written notice. You'll get multiple warnings, and we'll go over that in a little bit. You get multiple warnings, but you can lose the ability to accept these coupons. And of course, fraud may be prosecuted under federal and state laws. So if you are fraudulently taking coupons, again, that's a problem. Okay, so let's talk about what foods you can sell under this coupon program, okay? They have to be fresh. They have to be locally grown, and 25% have to be grown by you, okay? 25% you have to grow. The rest has to be grown locally. That means within 50 miles of West Virginia's border, according to the guidelines for the Farmers Market Nutrition Program coupon. So if you live right across the border and you sell at a West Virginia market, that's fine. You know, I live in the Northern Panhandle. It's, 50 miles and I'm in another state. If I go 10 miles one direction, I'm in another state. So, that's not necessarily the problem of being in another state. It's just we have to be real close to the border so that it can be considered to be grown locally. The foods have to be unprocessed. And so what does that mean, right? So unprocessed means you haven't done anything to it. You've harvested it, and now you're selling it. It's very simple. Has to be fruits, vegetables, and herbs. Unprocessed honey can only be sold to our senior participants. Again, it's no babies. Babies can't have honey, right? And it has to be on the eligible food list or foods that can be grown below the USDA hardiness zone 6. What can't be used, what you can't sell is jams or jellies, ciders, juices, flours, dried beans, eggs, meats, gourds, nuts, plants, butter, ornamental corn, popcorn, or baked goods. Okay, so those are all a no sale item. You cannot accept coupons. It doesn't mean you can't sell them. It just means you can't accept coupon for payment for those items, okay? So here is the approved foods list. And for those of you who have participated in the past, it is the same food list as you always see. Now, if your food isn't specifically listed on this, make sure you put it on your application. If you're growing it and you can grow it here, then make sure you put it on your application so that you can say to the Department of Agriculture and they say, hey, that's not approved, it's not on the list. You say, well, it's on my application was approved. Another thing you want to remember is you can't sell foods that you did not grow locally. If you purchase oranges or strawberries from a wholesale in Florida, you can't sell them through this program. If you buy strawberries from a local farmer, you can sell them from this program. If you buy peaches or corn from more than 50 miles from the border of West Virginia, you need to mark that, and you sell other local produce, you need to mark that produce as not approved for Farmers Market Nutrition Program coupons. You know, what an easy way to do this that doesn't look bad is to say, you know, I supported the name of the farm where you purchased it. And, you know, even have a picture of the family or something, and that can be an extra advertising opportunity for you, but you can use that to your benefit, but you can't sell that corn or those peaches from further than 50 miles away under this program. Okay. Are there any questions on that before I go further? Can you sell at your own farm? We'll get to that in just a minute, but the answer is yes. Okay, so to sell honey, you have to be a registered apiary, and the label has to have all of the requirements to sell honey in West Virginia. So this isn't necessarily a rule for this program, it's just a rule to sell honey in West Virginia. So you have to be a registered apiary, you have to have an approved label, and you have to have do not feed to infants under 1 year of age, which of course is why you can't sell honey to WIC participants. If you are selling someone else's honey, you may still sell it under this program, but it still has to have the approved label, and you have to submit their information on your application. And that's important to note too. If you're selling any produce from someone that's not your farm, that farm's location and name has to be on the application. So if you're planning to sell it under this rule, under this program, and you're buying it, say, from, I'm going to use St. Clairsville, Ohio, because it's right there. If I'm selling some produce from a farm in St. Clairsville, Ohio, I have to mark that farm's address on my application along with exactly what it is I'm going to be selling from them. Now, if you don't know exactly what you're growing this year, and you know, you might change your mind as you're going, that's okay. You can add other things on, or you can list what you think you're going to grow, what you think you're going to sell. And if you don't sell that, that's fine on your application. You know, it's not going to make that big a deal. But if it's something that stands out, that's a little unusual, always make sure you put that on your application just so you have that extra approval. Okay, this is test time. You guys ready? You didn't know you were going to test today, right? Okay, so our test, what in this bag is okay to be purchased using a West Virginia Farmers Market Nutrition Program coupon? It's a mouthful. You can shout it out or you can type it in the chat box, whichever. Tomatoes, yeah, we're good with tomatoes. Tomatoes and lettuce, yeah. Parsley, okay. Parsley and lettuce. All right, so let's see here. Obviously not milk. Milk is not fresh produce, right? Okay. Bacon, again, not fresh produce. Oranges. Oranges can't grow in West Virginia, so no. So now here's the question on that lettuce. That's a salad mix, isn't it? Right? And so that salad mix has been cut into bite-sized pieces. That means it's been processed, okay? So processed means that you can't sell a processed produce through this program. So let's talk about what makes produce processed, all right? And then we're just gonna say, it's really easy. It's a one cut rule. You get one cut to harvest, right? So if you're gonna harvest baby leaves off of your lettuce, and it takes you one cut to get them off, and then you put them in your salad mix bag, thumbs up, you're ready to go. If you have to make multiple cuts, that counts as processed food. It is no longer considered a safe food product. And so therefore, no, you can't do it. So what I'm gonna recommend is if you are doing a lettuce mix, you stick with baby lettuce leaves and you cut them off with one chunk, or you stack them really in a really pretty stack and put them in. So you have one cut, okay? One cut is your guiding factor here for whether or not it counts as processed, all right? Now, if you guys are, super ambitious and you really, really want to grow oranges, so you build yourself a greenhouse where you're going to have your orange tree. You can sell those oranges. You're not going to make a profit on them, but you can sell them. But you have to ask for a special exemption on your application to sell those oranges, all right? Anything that's not naturally grown in this zone, you have to ask for a special exemption for. But mostly not. All right, so how about this stand? Okay, what is okay at this stand to be purchased using a farmer's market nutrition program coupon? We have salad mix, we have granola, and we have microgreens. Yeah, oranges is a loss. All right, someone saying microgreens. Broccoli. Okay. All right. So on this, we have our salad mix. The question is it baby leaves or is it processed? Hopefully it's baby leaves and then your salad mix is ready to go, right? One cut rule. Granola, not a fresh fruit or vegetable, not acceptable. Okay. Microgreens. So microgreens are something new and different, right? It's something that's really easy to grow. It's a great seller, but it's not really on that food list. So if you are planning to sell microgreens, and it also falls under that one cut rule, right? And sometimes you can sell them right in the container that you grew them in. So make sure you put microgreens on your application if you're planning on selling it, because it is something that's not listed there. And so you want to make sure that you're being clear what you're planning to sell on your application. So yeah, no granola. All right, rules and procedures. Obviously, don't be a jerk. No abusive or discriminatory practices. You do not charge any taxes. No cash or credit for coupons. You cannot give change. You cannot give change. Okay, it is no go. Do not give change. Okay, don't give credit. Say, okay, well, you're only spending part of your coupon today, so come back next week and I'll fill out the rest. No, you can't do that. Okay, no cash, no credit. They have to spend the whole coupon. And sometimes, especially with seniors that are living by themselves, they're like, man, I can't eat $5 worth of produce in 1 week. Try to encourage them to get something that'll keep a little bit longer. Give them some of the really, really fresh stuff so they do have a longer shelf life. But they have to spend that full $5 at your stand before they go. Again, no change. No change. If they have 50 cents extra that they need to spend, they need to buy a 50-cent item off of your table. Now, they can buy a $1 item. You can throw in that 50 cents for free. You can give them extra produce. That's fine. But you cannot give them any change or undercharge them or overcharge them. So that 50-cent balance, you can't try to just say, well, if they say, oh, it's okay, you just keep that extra 50 cents, I don't mind. You can't do that. You have to give them that extra tomato or that extra cucumber to fill out that 50 cents. All right, when you get your coupon, you have to properly affix your number on each coupon. If you sell in multiple counties, it gets fun because you get a different number for every county. So make sure that you have a nice big Ziploc bag with your posters and your stamp in it and write the county name on it so you grab the right bin for that county's sales, okay? Check signatures. This is important too. That you have to check the signature of what you're accepting. And stamps are not transferable. You will be financially liable for all coupons improperly taken, which means you don't get that $5 back. Okay, so if you just want to, be nice and give people $5 here and there, that's fine. That's up to you. I wouldn't recommend it for trying to meet your bottom line, but it can be done. So also remember that anyone who is accepting a coupon at your table, they have to be trained. They have to know exactly what to do because a temporary employee can cost you your stamp. If someone who's not trained is going to be there, you can't have anyone who's trained there that day. Just don't put your posters up. Don't accept any coupons that day. Keep it under wraps. Say, I don't have anything for sale today that will support your coupon. That would be much better. You'll make that customer a little upset, but maybe they can go to the next table over. But if someone can't properly accept a coupon, it's better to not sell that day than to lose the opportunity to accept coupons the rest of the summer. Okay, so when you're doing your coupon, try to make sure it's legible and in the box. That's really important, okay? If you are outside of the box or they can't read it, they're not going to reimburse it. And then the bank's going to send it back to you and then you're out that money, okay? Blue ink is recommended. And if you are at a farmer's market that is running the farmer's market nutrition program coupons, then their stamp goes in the box and your vendor ID gets written above the box, okay? So if you have, if your farmer's market is managing this program and giving people tokens and such, you get a vendor ID. That's what's on your poster, and you don't put your number in the box. It goes above the box. The farmer's market goes in the box, and your farmer's market should be training you on this. Okay, so eligible participants can have a proxy do the shopping for them, as long as the person's name is on the envelope or voucher cover. So they are able to sign off and give you the voucher. You don't get to ask this person for ID. Okay, so if their signatures don't match, then it's going to be a frustrating problem because you can't ask them for identification. You can only match the signatures to the booklets. Okay, you cannot ask for any other ID. They must sign the voucher when it's used. And if any voucher is not signed and it doesn't have the stamp number, it's not going to be accepted. It's going to get returned to you. Okay, so make sure they sign it, make sure that you stamp it, and don't ask for ID. Okay, proper coupon redemption, make sure it's endorsed. You have to sign the back, just like any check that you're going to deposit in the bank. If you don't endorse it, they're not going to accept it. You have a couple deadlines here. You can accept coupons before July 1st of this year. You are recommended and requested to please deposit your coupons on the 15th and by the 15th and 30th of every month. That's twice a month. That means that they know exactly how much funding they have left to support the program as things go on. They may be able to get an infusion and maybe give some people some extra money. So please make sure you're depositing your coupons regularly. You cannot deposit any coupons after October 31st. That is the deadline. Or sorry, the final deposit deadline is November 17th. You can't accept any coupons after October 31st, okay? So you got another 2 weeks to get them in the bank. If you miss that deadline, they're done. You lose that money, okay? And you are responsible for any bank fees, so please make sure you talk to your bank before you start accepting these coupons. The most common violations are not checking your signature on the voucher and not having prices marked on produce and not displaying your poster. So make sure you can see the posters, use your own stamp. You cannot use someone else's stamp. If you use someone else's stamp, that is a violation. You can't stamp someone else's sale either. You need to be nice to everybody equally, okay, regardless of how they're paying you. That's just good business practice. You have to charge the same for the participants, right, or less. So that goes into that, free cucumber type of thing. You have to sell quality produce. Again, good business practice. Notify the program if you don't want to sell anymore. If you're going out of business, you're done. You just can't take it anymore. You're never selling at a farmer's market again. You're just going wholesale, or you're just done farming. Make sure that you notify the Department of Agriculture that your coupon, your stamp is no longer being used. And you have to comply with the drug-free workplace policy. By accepting federal money, you are considered a federal employee. I wish that came with insurance, but you know, vendors are responsible for any violations of their employees. Okay, if you're a farmer's market and you are managing this program for your vendors, then you have to make sure that everyone is approved, is trained and knows what to do. The market is then responsible for any violations. The market is responsible for monitoring its vendors, but that doesn't mean the Department of Agriculture isn't going to show up one day to check things out. And vendors are required to get the full value of those coupons back. So at the vendor, there's no farmer's market overhead taken out of these exchanges here. And you can have as many vendors as you want, but the farmer's market does have to train everybody. Okay, so there's a lot of ways you can lose points and a lot of little things you can do, but I want to go over the most important ones because these are 30-point, bang, you're done. End of story. You are disqualified from accepting coupons. And that is providing cash or credit, selling unauthorized products, selling produce that you bought, you know, from Florida or from Eastern Pennsylvania or wherever it's far away from you. If it's not within 50 miles of the border, you cannot sell it under this program. Charging more to program participants, that gets into that 50 cent that's left over and they're like, oh, just keep it. That means you're charging them more. You can't do that. You can't, if you refuse to remit for overcharges, or if you refuse to accept a valid coupon, again, you're out of there. Falsification on your application. If you say that you grow everything you sell and halfway through the season, you start selling someone else's produce, then that could be a problem because it's not on your application. So if you have amendments, make sure you contact the Department of Agriculture and let them know, hey, we just made this great partnership with this other farm down the street, and I'm going to be selling all of their produce too under this coupon. So make sure that you contact them and let them know of any changes that are coming. If you don't have any approved products for sale, let's say you sell fresh produce and eggs, you got a boatload of eggs and you only have a little bit of fresh produce because it's the beginning of the season. You put your signs up, you sell all your produce, the only thing you have left is eggs. Well, you can't sell eggs with these coupons. And so you no longer have any approved products on your table. Make sure you take down that sign that says you accept those coupons so that a person doesn't come up and go, hey, well, I wanted to buy something because you accept my coupon and now there's nothing here. Take down your signs as soon as you are out of that approved product for sale. And then if you don't if you don't attend the required training every 3 years, then you also will get removed from the program. So annual application, training every 3 years. If you do get disqualified, you can appeal. You will get written notice. If you gave them the wrong mailing address, you still are disqualified whether or not you receive your letter. So make sure your address is correct on your application. So that you know what's going on. You can appeal, but you have to submit your appeal in writing. If it's over a WIC coupon, then it goes to DHHR. If it's over a senior farmers market coupon, it goes to the Department of Agriculture. Civil rights training. So no person in the United States shall be discriminated against on the grounds of race, color, national origin, sex, age, religion, or disability, or be excluded from participation in, be denied benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity. And I have a lovely little video that I'm going to play for you now that you have to watch. So stay tuned and pay attention. And hopefully it will start playing here. All right, if you cannot hear it, please raise your hand. Come on. There we go.
There's a funky little part in the menu up there that allows you to share your computer's sound. And I can never remember exactly where it is.
Can you hear it?
It's really low. Senior
Not
citizens
yet.
participating farmers markets throughout the state. Participant
Now it's coming. Needs a little more volume if you can do it.
percentage of the federal poverty level, which varies year to year. Farmers Market Nutrition Program is an important program for West Virginia. Each year it provides approximately $500,000 in vouchers for income eligible senior citizens to spend at participating farmers markets throughout the state. Participants must be 60 or older, and they must fall within certain percentage of the federal poverty level, which varies year to year. Program providers at the federal, state, and local levels must treat all applicants and participants fairly and should guard against attitudes that can lead to civil rights violations. Prejudice, which is a set of rigid and unfavorable attitudes towards a particular group that are formed without considering facts. Stereotyping, which is believing preconceived and often oversimplified generalizations about a particular group of people, regardless of whether the belief is positive or negative. And discrimination, which is differing treatment based on a distinction between one person or group and others, either intentionally, by neglect, or by the actions or lack of actions arising from prejudice against a protected class. Or negative. And discrimination, which is differing treatment based on a distinction between one person or group and others, either intentionally, by neglect, or by the actions or lack of actions arising from prejudice against a protected class. Civil rights protections under this program are not the same thing as equal employment opportunity protections. The U.S. Constitution, along with numerous federal laws and regulations, guarantees that protected classes cannot be discriminated against based on their particular status. While all U.S. citizens share basic protections of their civil rights, protected classes receive specific protection based on their particular circumstances, which include race, color, national origin, age, sex, and disability. State agencies, local agencies, and other subrecipients must demonstrate compliance with civil rights legal requirements. In West Virginia's Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program, the state agency is the West Virginia Department of Agriculture that administers the program. Local agencies are the senior centers that enroll participants and distribute coupons, and the subrecipients are the farmers markets and stands that accept and redeem coupons. Let's call all three levels program providers for short. Senior citizens who receive the coupons will call participants beneficiaries or applicants when that's appropriate. Program compliance must be demonstrated in 8 areas: civil rights training, civil rights assurances, public notification, complaints of discrimination, racial and ethnic data collection, limited English proficiency, disability discrimination, compliance reviews, and resolution of non-compliance. USDA may review the activities of state providers to determine compliance with civil rights requirements. WVDA may also review senior centers and individual farmers markets for compliance. Any significant findings must be provided in writing to the reviewed entity and to USDA Food and Nutrition Services. There are 3 levels of compliance reviews: pre-award, routine, and special review. Pre-award reviews occur to ensure that state and local agencies have satisfied non-discrimination requirements related to disabilities. Routine reviews are conducted to ensure that state and local providers are operating the program in a way that protects the civil rights of participants. Special reviews may be conducted on a scheduled or unscheduled basis to follow up on previous findings of non-compliance, to investigate reports of either non-compliance by other agencies, media, or grassroots organizations regarding a specific incident or policy in response to a history of statistical underrepresentation of particular groups. When a pattern of complaints of discrimination become apparent, a factual finding that program providers are not fulfilling any civil rights requirement will result in steps being taken to immediately obtain voluntary compliance. A finding's effective date is the date of written notice to the reviewed entity. We'll now look at each of these program compliance areas. The first compliance area is civil rights assurance. This means that providers must promise to abide by federal non-discrimination requirements. A compliance statement must be included in any agreements among USDA, state and local agencies, and subrecipients. Providers must be in compliance with civil rights requirements prior to approval of federal financial assistance. Civil rights training is what we're doing here today with this video. WVDA is required to ensure that all providers, including its own program staff, undergo civil rights training annually. New employees or volunteers at any level who contact participants or their records must also take this training before they become involved in the program. Senior centers, therefore, must require this training for their employees and for participating farmers. The good thing is this video is readily available and it provides the necessary training. It's available online at www.wvagriculture.org and on DVD by request. Not every aspect of this video is applicable to every level of the program, but everyone involved must view this video. The goal of this video training are to provide knowledge of participant rights and provider responsibilities, ensure equal and consistent treatment of all applicants and beneficiaries, eliminate illegal barriers that obstruct people from full participation in the program, foster an atmosphere of dignity and respect for all, encourage a customer service orientation for all applicants and beneficiaries, minimize perceptions of favoritism, even if unintentional. All providers should train their workers, whether paid or volunteer, regarding collection and use of data, effective public notification systems, complaint procedures, compliance review techniques, resolution of non-compliance, requirements for reasonable accommodation of persons with disabilities, requirements for language assistance, conflict resolution, customer service. Customer service is effectively communicating with customers, responding to their needs, valuing their work, and exhibiting excellence through courtesy, confidence, and enthusiasm. When conflicts with applicants or participants do arise, providers should identify the problem based on the information the customer gives you. Determine a solution depending on the specifics of the conversation and your knowledge of your organization. A follow-up call to the customer solution may be necessary. Make sure the customer agrees to your proposed solution. Otherwise, your solution will be resolving nothing. You and the customer should agree what is to be done, when it is to be done, and by whom. If it is not possible, suggest an alternative. Follow up with the customer personally to make sure that the customer has been satisfied. Public notification is another compliance area. All USDA food and nutrition programs require specific forms of notice to participants of program details. West Virginia senior farmers market providers must prominently display the "And Justice for All" poster, which can be obtained through the West Virginia Department of Agriculture. Inform applicants and potentially eligible persons of the availability of the program and the steps necessary for participation. Inform applicants, participants, and potentially eligible persons of their program rights and responsibilities. Advise applicants and participants at the service delivery point of their right to file a complaint, how to file a complaint, and the complaint procedures. Make program information available to the public upon request. Inform potentially eligible people of programs or changes in the programs. Convey the message of equal opportunity in all photos and other graphics. Provide appropriate information in an alternative format for people with disabilities and in the appropriate languages for people with limited English proficiency. All information materials must include a non-discrimination statement. At a minimum, the non-discrimination statement or a link to it must be included on the homepage of the program information website. This is the full text of the non-discrimination statement. At a minimum, the full non-discrimination statement should be on application forms, notification of eligibility or ineligibility, notice of adverse action form, program homepage, public information, including program literature. The non-discrimination statement is also available in Spanish. A shorter version may also be used when it's impractical to use the longer statement. Discrimination complaints may be made by or on behalf of any person in a protected class. Complaints shall be accepted and forwarded to USDA. Complaints must be filed within 180 days from the alleged act of discrimination. Complaints may be written, verbal, or anonymous. State agencies or local agencies may develop their own complaint forms, but the use of such forms cannot be a prerequisite for acceptance. West Virginia does not have its own form and uses the USDA complaint form. A separate civil rights complaint log shall be maintained by the state, local agencies, or subrecipients if applicable. Confidentiality is extremely important and must be maintained. Complaints, including verbal ones, should include as much information as can practically be obtained, but should be passed along to WVDA and then to USDA immediately, regardless of the amount of information provided. Examples of important items to include, if possible, are the name, address, and telephone number of the complainant, the location and name of the organization or office where the alleged incident occurred, the nature of the incident or action, the names, title, and business addresses of persons who may have knowledge of the discriminatory action, the dates during which the alleged discriminatory actions occurred, the basis for the alleged discrimination. Retaliation for making a complaint is also prohibited. Retaliatory behavior can result in a finding of discriminatory retaliation, even if the original complaint filed by the individual is baseless. Retaliation means negative treatment of someone because they complained about discrimination or testified as a witness in an investigation. Retaliation could involve a denial of service, harassment, intimidation, or other actions or omissions. WVDA must pass along discrimination complaints within 5 days of receipt. Only essential personnel should be made aware of complaints on the way up the chain. This minimizes the chance of retaliation against complainants because only a few people will even know a complaint has been filed. As a means of monitoring civil rights compliance, state agencies shall establish a system for the collection of racial, ethnic data of each person applying for and receiving benefits. Applicants shall be assured that the information is required for and used for statistical purposes only and has no effect on eligibility criteria. Data should be collected at the point of application and retained at the service delivery area. Data collected must include ethnicity, either Hispanic or Latino or not Hispanic or Latino. Race, one or more of the following: American Indian or Alaskan Native, Asian, Black or African American, Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, or white. Limited English proficiency refers to people who do not speak English as their primary language or who have a limited ability to read, speak, write, or understand English. Program providers must take reasonable steps to assure meaningful access to their programs and activities by such people. Factors to consider in addressing LEP: number of LE people within the eligible population, frequency with which LEP individuals contact the program, nature and importance of the program to the LEP population, resources available, and their cost. A variety of laws prohibit disability discrimination in federal food and USDA food and nutrition programs. A person who has a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities, has a record of such an impairment, or is regarded as having such an impairment, is considered to be disabled. Major life activities means functions such as caring for oneself, performing manual tasks, walking, seeing, hearing, speaking, breathing, learning, and working. Functions of the immune system, normal cell growth, digestive, bowel, bladder, neurological, brain, respiratory, circulatory, cardiovascular, endocrine, and reproductive functions are also included. For more information, contact WVDA Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program Coordinator Connie Tully at 1900 Canal Boulevard, Charleston, West Virginia, 25305. The telephone number is 304-558-2210, or you can email eda.o, Mercer Corporate Park, 300 Corporate Boulevard, Robbinsville, New Jersey, 08691. The telephone is 609-259-5061, and the email michelle.sazo, S-A-Z-O, at fns.usda.gov.
All right, so I skipped through part of that because of the Connie Tolley has retired, and the new coordinator is Leslie Bogus, which is who I gave you the contact information for earlier. Now, I have rudely gotten into a lot of Stephanie's time, so I'm going to shut up and let her go. And so if you have any questions, I will answer them at the end. Now, if you have an appointment that you have to get to, this is being recorded and will be available online through our community extension portal. Have any of you been able to access the online portion of the program where you can go back and watch old videos, get other documents, things like that? You can just raise your hand or nod.
And it's important to note that if you're watching this video later, right now, you do have to do, what did you call it? It's not a post test. What did you call it, Karen?
There's a post test that you'll be taking if you view it online so that you can get certification. Just to basically, you have to view it and then you have to finish the post test in order for me to be able to submit your name for watching it online.
Okay,
All
so
right.
if you're live right now, we have to have your name in the chat box. If you have not typed your name in the chat box, we need you to do that, your name, the county in the chat box. If you are watching this at a later date, you must submit the post test afterward in order for your name to be counted.
And I'll note there are a few that still have to put their county along with their name in the chat box.
Okay, so Stephanie, you want to go ahead and start sharing your screen? And again, I do apologize for taking your time.
Okay, no worries. All right. So I'm going to be talking about SNAP and SNAP Stretch. So SNAP stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program and is formerly known as food stamps and is a federal program. So SNAP eligibility for consumer, just so you kind of know the demographic if you're going to accept SNAP at your market. They're low income and there is asset limits when you're applying, which is around $2,000. So typically a barrier for SNAP consumers going to a market could be they don't have reliable transportation because the asset limit is so low. And all of the links shown in the presentation can be found in the PowerPoint later. So documents need, so question I get is what documents do you need to submit with the SNAP application for a farmer's market? So if you're a farmer's market and you're going to apply to accept SNAP at your market, so some documents you would need to be a photo ID, social security card, employer identification number, business license, and some other documents that you can see again at the link that's on the slide. And if you're having trouble accepting or applying for the benefits at your market, there is an easy step-by-step guide. And if you are having trouble at the West Virginia Food and Farm Coalition, we can help you by signing up. That's the organization that I work for. And we could definitely help you with any questions that you might have if you're having trouble with the process. And then the link for the application is also on the screen. So what can you buy with SNAP? You can get fruits and veggies, med items, breads and cereals, other things such as snack foods and non-alcoholic beverages, and then seeds and plants, which you can produce food for the household to eat. So some kind of questions you might get is, what does the program look like for a farm stand? So if you're already accepting credit or debit cards, this process isn't much different. And if you don't have a point of sale system, what's really great is that the DHHR can provide you with one of these machines, and the link for that application is also on the screen. And so now I want to talk a little bit about SNAP Stretch. And so SNAP Stretch is not a federal program, and it's run by the West Virginia Food and Farm Coalition. It was started in, well, it was a pilot in 2018, but then went into full effect in 2019. And by the end of the 2020 season, farmers had made over $500,000 in their markets in SNAP and SNAP Stretch. So benefits for joining SNAP Stretch is there are like increased sales, increased buyer demographic, since you're now since you'll be allowing people that use SNAP use their EBT card at the market. And we can also, something that's a benefit for if you're part of SNAP Stretch is that we can get promotional materials supplied to you. And then we also have a team to support you if you have any questions or need help. And then what's really great about joining SNAP and SNAP Stretch is it's a great way to help your community get easier access to healthy quality food. So on average, small markets may see about $100 or $500 in sales for SNAP Stretch. Medium-sized market monthly may see about $1,000 in sales. Then large markets yearly may see about 15,000 to 200, or to, sorry, 20,000 in sales for SNAP Stretch. So to briefly talk about the program and how the matching system works is that adults under 60, so not seniors, they receive a one-to-one match. So if they spend $25 on their EBT or SNAP card, they receive a $25 voucher. Then if adult brings their child, they get a 1-to-2 match. So for example, if they spend $25, they get a $25 voucher and a $25 kids coupon. Each market runs this differently. So some do vouchers, some do tokens, some just apply a discount at checkout. So seniors, which are adults over 60, receive a 1-to-2 match. So if they spend $25 on their EBT card, they get a $50 voucher. And if they're a senior with a grandchild, they can spend, if they spend $25, for example, with their EBT card, they receive a $50 voucher and a $25 kids coupon. And this is one of the infographics that we have that we commonly use to talk about the matches, which I just went over. So eligible items, so SNAP Stretch eligible items are slightly different from what's available for you to use or for purchase for your SNAP card. So for SNAP Stretch, the difference is that we only allow fruits and veggies or canned, dried, frozen, whole, or cut fruits or vegetables without any additives, for example, sugars, fats, oils, or salts. You can also get seeds and plants intended for cultivation and consumption, and fresh herbs. I briefly talked about us doing promotional materials. So this year we're doing individual outreach plans. So we're getting our markets some marketing materials such as banners, yard signs, social media graphics, and postcards. And then on this slide, my coworkers, Caitlin, made some promotional materials for the Wild Ramp, and this is the example that I have. And on the right, there's a postcard that they're using as, I believe, a bag stuffer, and it just has their logo and their address, as well as a little informational thing about SNAP Stretch. I don't have time to go over Farm Fresh website, but it's a great website for you to check out. So you can look at the markets in your area that already accept SNAP if you're a consumer. And so if you want to get started with SNAP Stretch, I would highly recommend you looking at our website, which is snapstretch.com. It has all of the information that you need to know about the program. And if you're interested in signing up, there is a new firm intake form that if you fill it out, I can then get back to you about participating in the program. And then if you have any questions, our email address is snapstretch@westvirginiafoodandfarm.org, and it's also on the SNAP Stretch website. I think I'm right on time. So it was really fun presenting to you guys today.
Are there any questions on any of these topics? Just wanted to make a note in the comment section. A question was asked about maple syrup, and maple syrup is SNAP eligible, but it's not SNAP Stretch eligible. So that one's a little bit tricky. Out of curiosity, do any of you accept SNAP at this time? A couple people raising their hand. Not yet. So the market accepts it. I'm not sure what BSFM FOS means. Well, I'm glad to see that a lot of markets do. A lot of times when you're looking at the SNAP, that it's the market that accepts it. To do that, you do have to be registered as a business, and you have to have an EIN number, right, Stephanie, to get registered.
You need an FNS number. Or well, for SNAP stretch or for
SNAP, just in general, except an EBT card.
I know when you're signing up for SNAP, you get an FNS number. I don't know about the other one.
Okay.
We've gotten the reader. We've been through that process and we've gotten the reader, but now we don't know what to do once we've gotten it. So we're on our way.
Any tips, Stephanie, on steps to take after you get your reader and everything, or who should she contact?
Like for the point of sale system? I think talking to who you got it from. So if you get it from the DHHR, talking to them probably be the best thing for you to do.
Yeah, Total Pay, if that's who you use, that's who our market uses, has a pretty good support system too. You can always call them and they can talk you through parts of it too. The hardest part for us is the internet doesn't always work in downtown Berkeley Springs, amazingly.
And that's going to be an issue for us too. Technology is not my friend.
There is a way to make the phone call instead of using the little reader, I'll tell you, because we're going to have to do that one Sunday. But yeah, it's a nuisance, but it does work.
And I know that there are some farmers that have used a mobile hotspot with their cell phone to support that internet connection if they're in a place that doesn't have community Wi-Fi. So that's been useful for some farms. So you might want to look into that as well.
And I will mention for there's a place called TechSoup that you can get if you're a nonprofit group. Our extension office has bought them. You can get actual mobile hotspots for like $120 a year. It doesn't have a large data plan, but your area nonprofit group, if you qualify, can get those mobile hotspots for a very inexpensive cost. We purchased 3. One for our farmers market group, one for our 4-H group, and then one for our FMP people to go out. So that's what we're going to try to use so that we can have a hotspot out there. So that TechSoup is the name of that company, and they provide hotspots for nonprofit groups at a very affordable rate. Does anybody else have any questions before we get off here? Brian Sparks is reminding us that next week our program will be highlighting farmers markets across the state. So if you have a farmers market, would you please fill out the Qualtrics form to have your farmers market highlighted. If you perhaps work with a farmers market and you haven't received that information, if you will respond to the email that I sent you out this morning that came from Jody Richmond, if you will let me know that you participate in a farmers market, we will gladly send you that link. It's a very short questionnaire. Brian was just wanting some information about different farmers markets across the state so we could highlight a lot of those different markets for the presentation next week. We want to talk about what's working for them, maybe some new things that they've tried, maybe a couple things that didn't work so well, to try to give everybody across the state some ideas about things that might be an option for their market. Anything else, Karen? You want to just remind people what they need to make sure they did for today's training?
Yep, just make sure that you have your name and county in the chat box, which most of you have done. If you are looking to accept the coupons, you have to get your application in by July 31st. But if you want to accept coupons on July 1st, when they become available, you'll want to get it in at least 2 weeks before that, so it has time to be processed and gotten through. You can get through the system fully. If you have any questions, I put Leslie's contact information in the chat box. Or you can just contact one of us and we can get you her contact information. So thank you everybody for tuning in today. I hope that you fully understand how to utilize these potential income resources, and let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Hey, I've got two quick ones on here. Happy Body LLC. I'm not sure who that is or what county they're from, or if they're going to take vouchers or not. Need to put their name in. And another one, I have a telephone number ending in 724. I don't know who that is or what county they're from. They may already be on and simply be using the phone as an extra, but
yeah, if you have that phone number and you're of course not able to put it in the chat, if you can respond to my email, just let us know who you are with that phone number. We can get you logged in or get your name written down. All right, Karen, thank you. I think we're done.
Thanks everybody. Have a great day.